You're listening to On Fire Concerts Artist Interview Series with your host, Ron Johnson.
My brother was 73 when he passed away. My brother, I was really proud of my brother. He was with the Assemblies of God denomination, and he quit school in the middle of 11th grade. And when he died, he was on the board of directors of a couple of colleges. He finished his school with correspondence. He was one of the smartest guys I ever knew. He wound up being, he preached around the world, preached in the biggest church in the world, Seoul, Korea, got 750,000 members. Never closed the door, had church around the clock. And I met a guy that attended that church that was there when my brother preached there. A guy named Mr. U. When I worked for Conway Twitty, I was importing stuffed toys, shotgun red dolls, and stuff like that. Right. We were importing those things from a guy named Mr. U. And he come over here, and I got to tell him about he talked about his church. And I said, that sounds like a church my brother had a revival in. And I told him about it. He said, well, I know Gene Jackson. I remember Gene Jackson really well. He said he went every night to hear my brother preach. But he had a complete, my dad never had a new car. My wife and I bought him one. Right. Lived in the house trailer. When they died, it was a nice new one. But this earthly stuff, he never had much of. But he never owed anybody a penny in his life. If he had an old car, it was paid for, it was his. Right. He never made a payment on anything but light bill, gas bill, and water bill. And I didn't learn that much from him. I did buy a lot on credit. I mean, when they started sending me credit cards, I started using them. And added them up, realized I owed $50,000, a little over on credit cards. And I told my wife, I said, give me a pair of scissors and come here a minute and bring all your credit cards. We had a fire going in the fireplaces in the wintertime. I took those credit cards and I said, hand them to, keep out two you want. And I kept out two, and I said, we're going to watch the rest of these curl up and burn in the fire. And we threw them credit cards. I got two in my pocket right now. It's only two credit cards I've had in 50 years, I guess. But I quit doing that and started taking my old daddy's advice. And if you got money, buy something. If you ain't, don't buy it on credit. I had a man tell me one time, he said, you know, Ron, he said, I'm about as happy as a man can be, I guess. He said, he was just an old country man. He said, I don't got nothing. Don't really want nothing. And I make plans to keep it that way. I had a friend one time, he told me, said, I didn't bring no money with me, and I never left none at home. I said, man, I've been that way. That's true. If you didn't take none with you and you never left none at home. But it is just so, I'm just so honored today. And we'll have to do another segment sooner or later. But I've done a lot of hopping and skipping and jumping around, but I didn't tell you all the stuff that's happened to me that made me believe God directed my footprints. And I think He walked with me a lot of times when probably wasn't the best choice He had, but He still did. I wrote a song. In fact, somebody put in the same guy that done that song, one Kenny Daisy's name. That's a pastor in Dayton, Ohio. I had a song called He Never Let Me Fall Beyond His Reach. Yeah. And I was singing it. That was one of my last attempts to sing after I had this thing lost. I was a tenor singer in gospel quartets, what I done. And now I couldn't hit a note if my life depended on it. But I'd done a demo of this song, He Never Let Me Fall Beyond His Reach. And they put it on Facebook here a week or so ago. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, the singing's really bad. I'm embarrassed about that, but the message is the same. But no matter what I've been through and how close to the edge I've been, you always reach out and call. You never know the strength of God. It was like in 93, I lost a son, and people would say he was only 5 days old. Oh. And people would say, you know, I told a pastor, and I don't care to tell you who it was, Jimmy Swagger.
I said, you know, he said, I don't know how you feel. I've never lost a son. He said, I can tell you though, questioning everything, that's normal. He said, but I can tell you when you get through it, you didn't get through it by yourself.
There you go.
You know, because we can't. And when God's through with you, you'll know it. Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, you're here as long as He's got plans for you.
I've never felt like I was called to preach. I've never ever had any kind of inkling that I should have been a preacher. But I've always had a feeling that I ought to live for God. And
Right.
I've tried to do that.
Right.
I ain't necessarily tried to please people. I've tried to please myself.
Right.
And anytime I bought something, I worked and paid for whatever I bought. I didn't have very many gifts.
Right.
I did find a diamond ring one time. It was worth $12,000. And what I did, I felt bad about it because somebody lost it. And I thought, man, if I lost that, I'd feel terrible.
Right.
I run ads in the Nashville, Tennessee, and the Nashville Banner, and the Hendersonville Star, which was a new little newspaper that had 2 pages in it or something at that time. And then the Madison Shopper, which was a throwaway thing. They throw you 3 or 4 copies of it whether you want them or not. I run ads in those things and said, diamond ring found, and told them the area it was found in. And I said, if you lost it, describe it. It'll take a perfect description. And I want to make them think that
you're not just going to call and
that
say
you
it's
wouldn't call
mine.
and say, yeah, I did lose one. And I said, it's unique. And it wasn't unique. It was that like 3-carat diamond ring.
Right.
I mean, the stone. And it was in a wedding setting,
right.
You know, like the diamond out of the
right.
wedding set. And I took it down to Morris Jewelers, used to be on 8th Avenue. And that's where I had this thing made, in that ring right there, in 1964. But anyway, when I found that ring, after nobody, I didn't get a phone call from him. And after 3 or 4 months, I took it down and asked them to take a look at it and see what they thought it'd be worth. And Mr. Bush owned that store at that time. It turned into Bush Jewelers, and they moved it later from 8th Avenue to Church Street. But anyway, he looked at it and he said, did he quit?
No.
He said, but anyway, he said, man, he said, that's a nice stone. He said, I can tell you it's real old. And I said, how can you tell the age of it by looking at it? And he said, it's mounted in a 4-prong mounting. They haven't done that since the 30s. The ring this size has 6-prong mounting. That one's only got 4. So that tells me that it's from way back.
Yeah.
So he said, if you want me to give you a real appraisal, you can stand there and watch me. But I need to take it out of here and put it in the machine. I said, do it. And I knew them people anyway. I trusted them. I said, but I stood there and watched him. He took it out. He appraised it for $12,500. And he said, that's not an insurance appraisal. That's an appraisal on 3-carat stone that it is. He said, it's got one little bitty flaw.
Yeah.
Showed me. He said, look in here and you can see it. I mean, it was like a pin, like a little bubble in there. Right. So. And anyway, he said, that's the only flaw in this thing. He said, the color's perfect. So I took it. My wife liked a wide wedding band. I took it and had it put on that wedding band. And so she had that ring. And so anyway, I've had things like that happen. I got something for nothing. But most of the time we worked our.
But you tried to, you made efforts to find that, so that was, I think, meant for your wife to have a wedding ring.
Well, I think so too. You know how I found it? I bought a load of bricks, used bricks, at Haley on Dickerson Road, who salvages old houses and stuff. The company's still there. And I bought a truckload of bricks, and they dumped them, and was knocking the mortar off of them. Me and a guy who was a Hendersonville cop. And And we were sitting out there and we just jive talking and had little hammers and was
Right.
knocking the mortar off her. And I hit that mortar and I seen something fall and looked down there and it was that ring.
Huh.
I done bought them bricks and paid for them. So basically I bought them.
Right. And it being bricks like that.
I would have never expected. But they said people used to hide stuff and take one brick out.
And put stuff in
And
there.
I don't know if you know the string bean story.
Yeah.
String bean was an old banjo picker
Oh, yeah.
comedian on the Opry. And he had a fortune in fireplace, take
Yeah.
a rock out and have a bunch of money in it.
It's
But old timers used to hide money that way. They said probably some house was tore down after people was dead and gone, and they had that stuff hidden in there.
but it wasn't. It ended up being used for a good cause.
Yeah.
So,
It sure did.
but Jay, I want to thank you. I'm gonna say I want to thank you for doing this today.
It is a pleasure
And
for
we
me.
definitely need to do a part 2, part 3. But this is just, I have been just, it's amazing. The stories and the history is amazing. And I think
Yeah.
you're an amazing man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And I treasure your friendship.
I hope if anybody thinks anything of me, I can live up to whatever they think.
Oh, they can. So,
And I hope if I haven't done anything to help people, I haven't done anything to hurt anybody. And
I have,
I've always tried not to.
you know, I just, like I said, of all the interviews and I've done from William Golden on down the line to Ronnie Millsap, and you treasure all of them, but those are those special interviews you really want. This was one I
Yeah,
really
thank
wanted
you, sir.
to, and
I appreciate you doing it.
but we look forward to doing it again, and this will be one that people would just. I'm looking forward to it because I know they're gonna love the history
Well,
because of the comments we get about you.
I hope so.
Yeah,
And
and
send me a copy of it so I
well,
can
you
tell
will
how
get it before we go down.
so I can see how dumb I look.
We have to send it to you for your approval. So, but I appreciate it, and
I appreciate you
thank
doing
you
it.
for
Thank
allowing
you,
us
and
in your home.
And I appreciate your friendship more than anything.
That's
More,
me with
I mean,
you.
you can say all the good stuff you want to say about me, and I appreciate that too.
That's what I treasure with you, and
I've always loved people, and I've met a few strangers, and I've met a few people that I didn't want to spend a lot of quality time with.
we
Very, very few in that category.
that's
most
very
of them.
few. I told somebody yesterday I've just been blessed for the people that I've known for 20 years in this business and worked with, and
my biggest thing is, like, Connie Smith is a great friend. And Connie Smith, don't let anybody know how old she is. I'm not going to tell. But she's had a few years behind her. We got Jeannie Seeley.
yeah,
Talking about Grand Ole Opry stars.
yeah,
People that I've known for years are gone.
yeah.
I mean, they're not with us anymore. You got Bill Anderson, who I love a bunch. And I think he's a great guy. He's still at the Opry. But I go over there now, and it's such a lonesome feeling backstage.
It really
And,
is.
Occasionally, somebody come through and say, "Hey, Jay," or "Hey, Papa John." I can sit there all night. They don't know about no me from Adams Fox. They don't know if I'm waiting to clean up the room.
Oh, I think they would.
They might. But
It's amazing how the emptiness, the loneliness, because I was over there. I'm over there lately for a little bit, but back a few months ago, I was over and I was thinking back to a previous time when you had Connie and all these Jenny and everybody was out there at one time. And then you have Jim Ed Brown was there, and Jim was just getting over. Said he had just went into remission on his cancer, but a few months later, he wasn't with us any longer. But it's just amazing. But people like you are what keeps the stories.
yeah, there's always somebody in the background that makes that entertainer look good, and that's what we've always tried to do. Tried to make sure they got quality merchandise for cheapest price we can sell it. And that's still, I used to tell them, I said, I'm gonna sell you them t-shirts cheap as I can sell them to you, and me still get rich.
Yeah, and you were selling to me as easy you would Hank Jr. at that price.
I did.
So
And we used to call it our menu, but I actually had a printed price list. I mean, we knew what a t-shirt was gonna cost us.
right,
And if you come in there and you want something for your church party, or if you want something for your family reunion, we used to have people, they come there and say, can I buy 35 shirts? And used to, it cost us about $12 to do a
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
And we'd tell them, said, we got a small setup charge, $12 and a half. And now it costs you $100 to do it.
Yeah.
Back then,
Yeah.
you know, you'd say, we got a little $12 charge, and then we'd sell them to you for the same price we sell them
Anybody else?
to all the rest of them big heavy hitters, Toby Keith and Hank Jr. I mean, those guys spend $500,000 a year with you, and you sell them to the church group down here for the same price. And once it pays,
Well, that's why you've maintained your
we always
who you
done it.
are in the business. But
I never tried to slide under any other company and beat them out with a price. I mean, if you told me you was paying $1 and a nickel for some items, I would never ever have said, I'll do it for you for $1 if you come over here.
right,
I said, man, you happy where you at, stay where you at. I never tried to
that's right.
skate a customer out from under anybody else on nothing.
Well, I've just been, like I said, ever since we first met, I've just loved your stories and the history, and I'm a history buff of music, period. And you've got the history. And
Well, I knew the people that were making it.
right,
I wasn't making the history myself. I was in a way because, you know, we had magazine write-ups about screenplay, our company.
it's you were there,
And,
so
I mean, I remember one, like I think it was about a 6-page article in a magazine that showed Alan Jackson was on the cover,
yeah.
and a T-shirt we printed for him, you know, stuff like that.
So I would just tell the folks to go out there. If you see him on, if you see this interview, comment on Mr. Jackson here, because if you haven't seen him, I don't know how you haven't. But
Yeah.
we look forward to doing more with you, Mr. J. And we thank you again for allowing us to come out today and do this.
Well, I'm honored that you did, and I thank you for it.
And folks, until next time, we'll see you then.